Nobody knows what they're doing. See, it starts with the weatherman. You're a kid, you watch the weather report, the guy on TV says it's going to be sunny, you pack for sunny, and then it rains. And then something small shifts inside of you. It's not a big deal, it's just a crack. Just the first time you noticed. The first time you noticed that someone who was supposed to know something didn't. And then you noticed it start happening everywhere. The sports analyst who was so sure his team would win, he was wrong. The business that everyone said was going to change the world, gone. The expert on TV explaining why something would never happen right before it happened. The coach who benched the wrong player, the doctor who got it wrong the first time, the teacher who taught you something they later had to take back. None of these people were lying, they just didn't know. And they were in a position that made you assume that they did. And that's the thing about authority. You really don't question it when you're young. You just take it in. These people are up there. I'm down here. They must know more than me. And that's just how it works. Except it doesn't. Not really. The hardest version of this is your parents. Because with the weatherman, you lose nothing real. With your parents, you lose your floor. When you're a kid, your parents are your whole world. Everything they say is true. Everything they do makes sense. The way they see things is just the way things are. And then slowly over years, you start to see the cracks. And that's not because they're bad people. It's not because they lied to you. It's just because they're human beings. They made decisions with the information they had, and they got some things wrong. They had fears they never dealt with. They carry stuff from their own childhood they probably didn't even understand. And when you finally see it clearly, it can kind of feel like betrayal. Even though they didn't betray you. They were just people doing their best with no idea with what they were doing either. The hard part isn't that they weren't perfect. The hard part is that you built your whole understanding of how the world works on the idea that they were. So when that idea cracks, everything built on top of it shakes a little. And the weird part isn't that your parents got things wrong. The weird part is how badly we wanted them to be right. Because certainty feels safe. If mom and dad know what they're doing, then somebody knows what they're doing. And if somebody knows what they're doing, maybe the world isn't as chaotic as it looks. Losing your faith in your parents isn't just losing faith in them, it's losing faith in the idea that somebody somewhere has the map. And we never really stop looking for that map. We just change who we think has it. Maybe it's LeBron James, one of the greatest basketball players in the world. That's real. That's documented. You can watch the tape, read the stats. But somewhere along the way, we decided that if you're amazing at one thing, you're probably amazing at everything. So now LeBron James is telling us what soda to drink, what car to buy, what shoes to put on your feet. He doesn't make soda, he doesn't design cars, and he definitely didn't invent those shoes. He's great at basketball, that's it. That's the whole thing. But we're so hungry for someone to trust that we'll just take the expertise in one place and stretch it over everything else. If he's good at one thing, maybe he knows something we don't. Maybe he's figured it out. Trust me, he hasn't. He's a person. He's a remarkable one at basketball, but he's a regular one at most everything else. We do this with celebrities, we do it with politicians, with our bosses, with pretty people, with people who went to fancy schools, with anyone who seems to have it more together than us. We hand over our judgment because having to use our own is exhausting and it's a little scary. That's why I think we're so excited about AI, not because it's smart, because it feels certain. When you ask a person a question, they might hesitate. They ramble, they contradict themselves, they change their mind. Ask a machine and it gives you an answer immediately, confidently in complete sentences. Humans say, I think, machines say, here's the answer. And one of those feels a lot more comforting when you're anxious. And I'm saying this as somebody who uses it. I'm not outside of this at all. But here's what's actually happening. When you talk to a real person, they sometimes get it wrong. They sometimes get tired and distracted. They sometimes push back in ways that frustrate you. They have their own stuff going on. They give you their attention and then they need yours back. And that friction is annoying. It's also how you learn to have grace for someone who isn't perfect. And we're spending more and more time somewhere that has none of that friction, where everything is patient and available and focused entirely on us, where nobody ever needs anything from us. And the more time we spend there, the less tolerance we have for the friction that comes with being with real people. Your parents take too long to get to the point. Your friend gives you the same advice they always give. Your partner is tired and not fully listening. And instead of sitting with that the way you used to, you reach for something that will never be tired and never miss the point and never need you to listen back. That muscle, that one that lets you have grace for imperfect people, you have to use it or it gets weak. And we're using it less. So what do you do with all of this? You can panic, feel like you're on your own in a way that's too much. You can choose to lose trust in everything and just drift. Or you can get practical. Nobody has the full picture, including me, including you. That's just a situation. People do the best they can with what they know, and sometimes they get it wrong. And sometimes they get it right. And there's no authority out there sitting on all the answers, waiting for you to find them. So maybe adulthood isn't learning who to trust. Maybe it's realizing nobody gets to be certain. Not your parents, not the experts, not the politicians, not the machines. The weatherman was guessing. Your parents were guessing. The analysts were guessing. LeBron definitely doesn't know what car you should drive. The goal was never to find someone with all the answers. The goal was to get comfortable carrying some of that uncertainty yourself. And when you've been doing okay with your guesses, not perfect, just okay, which is probably the most any of us are ever going to do, then we can start having a real moment. And maybe that's okay.